I grew up in here the last 25 years working here, and it feels like, my house got burned,
It's the big story at 5:30. A popular restaurant damaged by flames just days before the new year. Good evening, I'm Tia Ewing. Hundreds were expecting to ring in 2013 at Mikuni Sushi on Hazel Avenue in Fair Oaks. But now that restaurant won't be open for the big night. Let's begin the only local newscast at 5:30 with Ben DC. Ben, I know the owners have to be devastated.
Yeah, it's definitely a bad break. Yeah, it won't be open that night or for weeks, actually. This fire started up in the ceiling, up in the heating and cooling system ductwork. Now, employees were here in a hurry, and as you can see, they lined up tables outside to prevent them from being damaged, or at least from being as damaged as they might be if they were still inside the restaurant. And I want to show you why they would have been damaged if they were inside. Take a look at the ceiling. This is directly beneath where that fire started. Again, a bad break for not only owners, but the employees here at the restaurant. The fire was a small one and was kept that way by automatic sprinkler systems that dumped water by the gallon. Most of the $50,000 in damage here was done by that water.
I grew up in here the last 25 years working here, and it feels like, my house got burned.
Taro Arai is hoping to have customers back to this Mikuni in 2 to 3 weeks, but the timing couldn't be worse. This is traditionally the restaurant's busiest weekend, and there are a lot of reservations on the books.
We're just calling everybody back right now if they can go to other locations. I feel really bad for the inconvenience.
But while customers may be able to find someplace else to snack on sushi for the time being, employees of the restaurant will be missing out on their biggest holiday tips. Fire investigators are still trying to figure out how that fire did start in this ductwork that was, again, up in the ceiling above this restaurant. This isn't, of course, the only Mikuni. There are several Mikunis in our area. They are going to be filled, though, over the weekend as the reservations from this restaurant get spilled over into those. It's going to be hard to find a seat in the other locations. And again, this location, 2 to 3 weeks, rather, until at the very earliest it'll be open again.
All right, thank you so much, Ben DC, for that report. 1,200 people still without power in Roseville from sunrise to Harding because of this. The fire department says the driver slammed into this power pole, knocking it over. The crash happened just before 1 a.m., but investigators say the driver was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol when the crash took place. A wild, nearly hour-long pursuit in Stockton nabs 3 people. Cops say they were trying to pull over a stolen pickup truck when the driver and passenger took off and started driving in the wrong direction on Highway 99. That had to be a crazy scene, going about 100 miles per hour. After ditching the first vehicle, they hopped into a second stolen car. Not long after that, they got into another car. This time, a woman was behind the wheel. Cops think she's an accomplice to the pair. After a 52-minute pursuit on the ground and in the air, officers arrested all 3 of them. Just in, Merced County Sheriff's deputies have put an escaped inmate back behind bars after 3 days of leads. They tracked down Adrian Hicks at a home in Winton. Hicks was being held without bail on charges of grand theft. They think he got away through a hole in a bathroom ceiling. Police say he was probably following his victim the entire time, but this is where this story takes a wild turn. The attempted robbery turned into assault in a crowded gas station. The suspect hit the man he was out to rob over and over again, believe it or not, with a tire iron.
A man running for his life. And from every angle, this looks terrifying. As the surveillance cameras keep on rolling, you see a brazen attack inside a crowded AM/PM gas station.
He hits him with the thing first in the head. Right now he's asking for his money.
2 men run inside. The man in brown is hit over the head by the guy in the red hoodie several times with a tire iron.
He was just in shock. It happened so fast.
And if we freeze the video, you see the 29-year-old victim from Sacramento uncovers his wound, and in his hand, blood after he was hit repeatedly. Everyone in the gas station watched in fear. And even stranger, the 2 men didn't know one another.
The person getting robbed, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. He said that he doesn't know who he is.
Tense moments for the owner of this gas station, too afraid to show his face on camera.
And I'm telling him, this is wrong, that, you're going to really hurt him. You can't be doing this stuff here. So I try to back him out, and then he hit him again. At that point, I took my employee out of there.
The victim went to the bank, withdrew some cash, stopped at the gas station in Woodland before heading to Reading, and had no clue he was being followed by a would-be robber.
When the suspect left the scene here in Woodland, the victim recognized the getaway car driver as another bank customer at the same time that he was getting the money out.
An attempted robbery that ended with the tire iron wielding suspect running out the door. And from there, he has the nerve to destroy the victim's car, knocking out the windows. Moments later, he hopped in a car and got away.
Well, Woodland police are following up on leads hoping to solve this crime. Developing now, the Sac County coroner says the man shot and killed while working on his car on Las Palmas Avenue in Sacramento Thursday is 50-year-old Leander Bruce Bell. Police aren't saying much about the shooter they're looking for, but if you saw anything or know any details of this crime, you can help police track down that suspect by giving them a call. It's the last day on the force for Sacramento Police Chief Rick Brazil. He's retiring after more than 30 years with the department. The city appointed Deputy Chief Dan Scheel Monday to act as the interim chief while the department searches for an official one. Happening now, the clock is ticking for our nation's leaders to reach a deadline to actually avoid the fiscal cliff. President Barack Obama said Saturday morning he's optimistic that Congress will actually reach a deal in time. Missouri Senator Roy Blunt says politicians on both sides have an important responsibility, but says the president's tax hike won't do much to address the nation's debt.
The president's proposal to raise taxes on the top 2% of Americans won't even pay 1/3 of the annual interest that's now owed on this massive $16 trillion debt.
The House returns to Washington tomorrow night, just one day before a deal needs to be reached. What matters to you is how you'll be affected if a deal isn't reached. At around 5:43 tonight, why the fiscal cliff could cause you to pay more at the grocery store. Headed to the Sierra this week. Here's a quick look at 3 major roadways. You can see the snow, but luckily it's not coating the actual road. On the left, you're looking at I-80 at Kingvale, in the middle, Highway 50 at Myers, and on the right, 267 at North Star. A perfect day to spend in the snow. Chris Beal, live in Blue Canyon. Chris, did you notice a lot of people on the roadways?
Well, I'm noticing more people actually leaving right now after spending some time here in the Sierra, and this is what they came for. All of this snow, all banked up here on the side of the road right now, and you can see how high it is because it's coming up to about my knees, and I'm not even hitting the ground right now. And also on these trees, you see all that snow up there. That tells you that there's plenty of fresh powder even out on the slopes. A normally quiet exit off I-80, jam-packed with tourists checking out the snow and getting out to let the kids sled.
Nice time to go up into the mountains and visit the snow.
Ski resorts cashing in on all the snow that fell this week. Skiers and snowboarders finding the roads clear, making for an easy drive up, but that doesn't mean the occasional problem isn't out there. This truck driver having trouble getting out of a snowbank at the Nyack exit, spinning his wheels in vain. Meanwhile, sledders coming and going, finding they're not the only ones with the idea to come and visit the snow. How many people were out there? Did it look crowded?
Oh, like an anthill. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like an anthill.
So I guess this is just the holiday weekend, right?
Yeah.
Very scarce, but there is just a little bit of snow starting to come down right now. But again, the road's very clear, and when you talk to people up here, they say they're also really excited to come up here because normally they're expecting it to be very, very cold, and today they say it was actually pretty pleasant.
A lot of people out there enjoying the snow. All right, thank you so much, Chris Beal, for that report where everyone is talking about this. They're talking about the 49ers game tomorrow, Jim, and you can see it right here on Fox 40.
Yeah, absolutely, Tia. Kickoff at about 1:25. This is the last regular season game of the year, so it's not a playoff game, but it's important for the playoffs because it could determine San Francisco's seeding in the playoffs, and I know Niner fans are worried about this guy, number 94, the defensive lineman Justin Smith, and he will not play. So can the 49ers win without Smith? Can they stop anybody without Smith? Haven't been very good the last couple of games, although the Niner coaching staff says, hey, Justin Smith not playing, that hasn't been our problem.
We weren't very good. No, we could have had 5 Justin Smiths, maybe. You know, that wasn't the issue in the last game. We just didn't play good, we didn't coach good, and those guys just whipped us.
That kind of takes care of it right there, doesn't it? Although I'll tell you this, you can say what you want to about 94. The Niners are about 100% better with him than without him. Again, kickoff tomorrow, 1:25, Candlestick Park. The 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals, and even without Smith, Tia, the 49ers ought to be able to win that game easily. Cardinals are just not very good. And remember, right after the game, special edition right here. Lots of coverage live from Candlestick Park of that 49ers game.
We're all expecting for them to pull out a win. All right, thank you so much, Jim, for that. Well, he called 911 several times, but turns out it wasn't for an emergency. Wait till you hear what his calls for help were all about. And we've seen letters and poems of love sent to Newtown, Connecticut, but this California teen wrote a poem about the gunman that has her teachers afraid.
The price of 1 gallon of milk might double. Find out what that means for me, what that means for you, but more importantly, what that means for these guys.
And we had some light showers today. They slid to the south. Skies are clearing. It is going to be a cold night. We will show you how cold and when our next chance of rain arrives.